Good day, kids. We are going to do a year in a farm. I am your host, Mr. Lunn. I have a volunteer, Mason. We're going to use 1/64 scale toy tractors and implements. So the first thing you'll see in the springtime, farmers start getting ready, is a cultivator. And this is an implement that works up the ground and makes it smooth so that they can plant into it. If the farmer is a livestock farmer, they will spread manure. This is called a box manure spreader, and it's for solid manure. So that means it has sawdust or straw in it. If they are a dairy or a pig, they will have a liquid manure tanker. And this will spread in the field. It'll come out the back. It will smell great. And then after that, they'll go through and they'll work that manure into the ground so it's more available to the plants. This is called a disc. And it'll make it smell better when it's mixed into the ground, in the dirt. And then after that, they will come through and plant. And Mason, can you open that up for me, please? This is a corn planter. It's a pretty big one. And they have arms on the side here that will bend down. And that is to mark the row so the farmer can see where he's going to be planting next. Now, most new tractors have GPS on them, and they don't need to have those row markers, but it's good to have because sometimes technology doesn't work. If the farmer is not doing any tillage, this is called a no-till drill. So that means they can go right into the field without working it up, and this puts the seed directly into the ground undisturbed. So a farmer will spray the field next with a herbicide. This is a pull type sprayer, and a herbicide is something that kills a plant. And herbicides can be selective, so you can only kill a certain plant. We call them weeds. And you'll see this in Belmont, from Belmont Farm Supply. This is a Gator. So they are professional sprayers, and they can do a field really quick. This one has a 120-foot span. And if the farmer is a dairy farmer, or if they have beef cattle, they will do hay. So there's usually 3 cuts, sometimes 4 cuts of hay. And the first cut is in June usually. This is called a disc bind. It's what they use to cut the hay with, so it's just a really big lawnmower. And then they will use a rake. This is a little bar rake. And a rake will flip the hay over to make it dry quicker. And if it's second or third cut where there isn't as much hay, this is called a merger. So this is a fan rake, and it opens up, and it can put 2 or 3 or 4 rows into one row. So that's quicker to bale or harvest. And then they'll come through and they'll bale it. So this is a round baler. This is, whoa, accident. So you'll see, oh, it's just not going to work out for me. They will use this to round bale, and it pops at the back. Now if those bales are wet, they'll wrap it, but we have no wrapper. And then end of July, August, wheat time. So they'll bring a combine in. This is a grain head, and they will combine the wheat, and they'll have some wagons, and they'll fill the wagons up. The wagons will go to a grain bin on the farmer's farm, or it'll go to an elevator. Sorry, so an elevator is has lots of really big grain bins. And then they'll come through Usually wheat, they'll put it in a row so we can bale it. This is a square baler, and this is a big square baler, so it has the really big bales. And the bales come out the back there. And then, if they're a dairy farmer again, they will do silage. So corn silage, they'll chop up the whole corn plant. This is a self-propelled forage harvester. And they'll blow it into a truck or a tractor and wagon. And that truck will take it to the silo or to a bunk silo. Then after corn silage, they'll combine beans. So they'll use the same combine again, I guess. It's grain head. And they'll dump it into a tractor and a wagon. So we call this a gravity wagon or a hopper wagon. They come in all different sizes. Then after the soybeans come off, it's a time to plant winter wheat. So this will be around Thanksgiving. So they'll use a grain drill to put the wheat in. And the wheat will grow up until it starts to snow and freeze. Then it'll sit there all winter. And as soon as the spring hits, it'll start growing again. So the last crop to come off is corn. So we got a big John Deere combine here. So corn is a high volume crop. So it'll have about 180 to 200 bushels per acre, whereas beans are more like 50 bushels an acre. So when their combine's in a field, they'll have a buggy running with the combine. It'll take the corn, the combine, into the buggy, and then the buggy will transport it up to the road, and it'll go into a transport truck. And then that truck will take it again to the elevator or to the on-farm storage. So across from the school at Ted Chick's, he has a whole bunch of these big bins. These are called grain bins. They're usually steel, and this long thing is called an auger. So it takes the crop up and dumps it in the top of the bin. So the last thing they'll do in the field is they'll do a tillage. And this is going to bury the crop residue. So it's going to bury those stalks so that they break down quicker. And that is a life of farming in 1/64.